Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Here we go. Evil Dead Rise trailer got me bumping. To I thought about this last night after okay. So you may notice Mr. Jason Voorhees hanging up there. Uh, I recently did a revisited review for Friday the 13th Part 2. I had a whole thing set up back there, but I took everything else down. But I left that up, and I was like, you know what? I'll just leave it there because it is Friday, so that I'm recording this. But it's not the 13th. This is before, and you seeing this on a Tuesday, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I thought about I've revisited all the other Evil Dead movies for the Exploring Sam Raimi series last year, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go through all of the Ash vs. Evil Dead seasons. There's only 3 of them. I'm going to go through them at some point before the movie comes out. And I said to myself, you also need to revisit the 2013 remake because, you revisited the other 3 and this one needs to go with it. So here we are. And yes, as some people say, it's not really a sequel. It takes place in the same universe. And there is some kind of conflicting stuff with that as I was watching it. But, what really pushed me to watch this is, as I was running my errands this morning, I was off this morning from work, as I work in the mornings. And so I had to go cash my paycheck and everything. So I was listening to the Hack the Movies podcast of the Evil Dead review they did a few years ago for the remake. And so listening to it and everything they were saying, I'm like, I kind of want to rewatch this. And let me tell you something. I had fun with this movie. This movie is brutal. There are multiple shots, multiple times in this film where I had to close my eyes and go, ugh, because it's brutal. It's not like Terrifier brutal, but it's weird because when I watched Terrifier 2 and all the gore and stuff that was going on there and the brutality of that, not once did I close my eyes, but 3 different times in this movie, and I'll tell you what they are. I closed my eyes because I could not fucking take it. I couldn't take it. I could still hear the sound, so it didn't help, yeah, we'll get to it. And yes, I'll talk more about what the plans they had and what they should have done for this, but the consensus is this is not really a remake, it's a sequel taking place in the same universe. And at first, it is very confusing. Now, Ash vs. the Evil Dead didn't come out yet, so with Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I'm not exactly sure. You could say that also, and I mentioned this in my Evil Dead Rise reaction or thoughts. The book, I said the book didn't look like it. It just looked like a leather-bound book with veins on it. This one doesn't look like the original book either with the face on it, but it's like stitched together skin-like thing, but it looks more like the book than the one in Evil Dead Rise does. So there's that. And the basic plot is like the original. 5 people go to a cabin, but in this version, it's to help Mia, played by Jane Levy, detox. And there are a lot of, it hits the points of the original. 5 people go to a cabin. One of the friends finds the book. Ends up reading the book. I think in the original it was a recording, wasn't it? I think. That opens the book, brings the evil. One of them, the sister, it's the girlfriend in the original, but isn't it? Or no, it's Cheryl. It's Cheryl in the original, right? Isn't it? Yeah, because the baby doll face, Linda's later. It's Cheryl that goes into the woods and gets, by the trees. And they do that here, but they didn't go as far as the original, what Sam Raimi has said he regrets that. And, yeah, she goes in there, she comes back, possessed. Shit start going down, people get possessed, killed off one by one, but it does take a flip. It flips the script towards the end of the movie, and I'm sitting here watching this, and when I get to the end of the movie, I'm like, this whole end part is kind of unnecessary. And if you look at the logic of what was supposed to happen, when I go through the plot, I'll explain it. It doesn't work. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. I'll explain it. But yeah, it's the basic plot. You know, uh, 5 of them go to the cabin. They don't all come together though, but they go to the cabin. Sister runs out into the woods, gets attacked, gets possessed. Weird things happen. Each of the others are possessed or killed. Tomato, potato. Until it's down to one person. But it's a switch, in a book, that sort of thing. But where this movie is different is, one, it's completely serious and very gory. It's not a rated. It's not a rated. It's very gory. Like I said, at some points there is the gore that just makes you go, and I had to close my eyes and I can still hear the. Yeah. So we actually start off with this cold open, I guess you could say, that is unnecessary, but I still really like it. Where you have this girl, she's walking through the woods, and you think this is going to be the girl. She's attacked by these weird-looking people and brought back to the cabin, where it's revealed they're actually good people helping the father, and it's the girl that's possessed. And I like this, where he's trying to light the match. He come down to the only fact that you have to set her on fire to cleanse her or something. I don't understand that, but so he tries to light it, and she goes, "I will swallow your soul, Daddy." And he lights it, and then she completely changed. "I will swallow your soul, you pathetic fuck." I love that. I love it. I love it. He lights her on fire. Was this necessary? Does it tie into anything really in the rest of the film? No. Except for how to cleanse the soul of the evil spirits. No. It does not tie into anything at all. Other than that part. And so we then meet our 5 people. There is David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie. And yes, no, but yes. It's been pointed out that all 5 characters' first initials spell out demon. Except for, there's actually 6 main characters. Well, there's 6 characters. You forgot about the dog, Grandpa, so it spells demong, and you lose. Good day, sir! I'm joking. Of course the dog doesn't count, although it should. What's a demong anyway? Or G demon? A G demon? I don't know. Or a Degmon? Denmog? I don't know. Grudman. I don't know. Gradum. Gradnum. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now. But yeah. And so we meet our characters. I don't know all the actors' name. I know that Charlotte Fernandez plays the main character, David. Jane Levy is obviously Mia. Is it Isabel Lucas? No. Jessica Lucas. Isabel Lucas is someone else. Jessica Lucas is Olivia. And Lou Taylor Pucci is the very unfortunate Eric. Very unfortunate Eric. And as we go on, I'll explain why he is so unfortunate. This poor guy. And then there's David's girlfriend, who is really only there to be the 5th person, Natalie. And so they're there to help Mia detox, where she and yes, I've heard the theories that none of this actually happened and that it's all it's all an hallucination because she dumped the heroin in the well water, which is their only source of drinking water. So I've heard the theory that if you like, they drank the water and now they're all fucked up and hallucinating because the heroin's in the water. Bit of a stretch, and it doesn't explain people dying. I don't know, but yeah. But yeah, and they've been Grandpa, the dog, and David gives her the necklace that Ash gave Linda in the first one. Only it's given it to his sister in this one. And, the importance of it being in the first one kind of went away when Raimi changed the ending. Because originally, Ash was going to use it to focus the sun onto the book and burn it. But then they decided, no, that's going to be too expensive, and they changed that. So now that actually started the trope of evil object cannot be burned, which to me is only used in horror films to run out the time a little bit, because if you had burned it, it would be over. Although I don't see how, in this case, burning the book would do anything. So you could have burned it, although future installments could vary, but so there's that. And Eric and Olivia informed David that they actually tried to do this a few years earlier, but Mia lasted only 8 days, hours, one of those two, and couldn't make it. I think it was hours. Hours seems more feasible. 8 hours and couldn't make it, and they left. But they weren't at the cabin. They were somewhere else, and she freaked out, and they left. And they tell David, we're not going to let her leave this time. And David, like a stupid fucking idiot, is like, if my sister says she wants to leave, I'm going to take her. Then what's the point of doing this? You are there to make sure that that she cannot leave, that she beats this. For all intents and purposes, as soon as everyone got there, you pull all the keys, all the car keys, and you hide them somewhere where she can't find them. So that she can't take them and nothing can happen. And, you have one person, in this case I would have it be Olivia, hide them. One person will not cave. So don't trust David, because that frustrates me every time. My sister says she wants to leave, I'm going to take her. No, because that totally erases the point of you being there. The point is for you to be there to support her and make sure she can't go back on this. By taking her out, by helping her leave, you're defeating the purpose of even being there. So that always confused me and frustrated me, because if you're gonna do that, what's the point? But sure enough, stuff starts to happen. She starts complaining about a smell, which, yes, she's in a vulnerable state. She's going through withdrawal, so her senses would be more sensitive, so she can smell it or everyone else. And it's the dead cats. No, Tony Mac movie says they're asleep, so they're asleep. The sleeping cats downstairs hung upside down. The sleeping cats, and that's what they smell, I guess. And then they find the book in like a plastic garbage bag with barbed wire on it. And Eric's like, let me grab this. Why? Oh, and by the way, remember when I said the intro really doesn't connect to the rest of the film? Except for to show what you need to do to cleanse someone. Even then, this method's not used, so. And again, you use it there, you don't need to use it later. Those weird people that are supposed to be there to help don't come back. So I don't understand the point of those weird people. I mean, you could have at the end, when Mio starts to walk away, she's found by those those weird people, but then be like, okay, where were they the rest of the movie? So, yeah, so Eric, Mr. fucking idiot, finds the book, and he cuts the razor wire, or barbed wire, whatever you want to call it, takes the bag off, and looks at this weird looking book that looks as if it's put together by human skin, bound by human skin, and just starts looking through it, reading all this stuff. And there are stuff that says, do not read. Big red letters written, do not read, do not read. There's even stuff blacked out. And so what does he do? He traces it so he can read the words. Look, if I got this weird looking book, first of all, I ain't touching that thing, but if I start leafing through it, right, and I see big red letters that say do not read above stuff that's blacked out, it must be for a freaking reason. So why, in good sense, would you read this? A lot of people defend, oh, he's a teacher, he's thirsty for knowledge. Look, I had a billion teachers growing up, and I don't think any of them would be that stupid. Maybe one. But, no. But he's the Scotty character. So he has to be the one that looks through the stuff and ends up, he's the Scotty character. So at this point, Mia, he starts reading through it, and Mia's like, you guys are crazy and everything. There's a point where she's walking behind this, after they find the secret door or whatever, and she's walking, and he's looking at the book. I don't know. They're sitting down at the couch, and she's walking behind the couch. And Jane Levy, she's a good actor now, but this, she's like, I don't think she's like completely infected yet. Maybe it's later, but she has had enough and she wants to leave. And she grabs the keys and runs off. Maybe that's later, but she runs off into the woods. And we get the tree scene. And then she makes her way back. She's right back to the cabin or something like that. I was doing lunch at this time too, but I think I was eating my lunch, but and she comes back, and this is where she's possessed, and she starts going crazy, right? So she comes back and she says, I want to leave. And I'll give it to them. When they try to go leave, the reason why they can't leave, it's much better than the original. The whole thing is flooded. When the original, it's just a bent up bridge. And it's like, well, how did that happen? Whereas it's very normal for something to be flooded. That's a very reasonable thing. Whereas just a bridge being bent up makes no sense. It also brings the point of there is something supernatural here. David is the one character who believes that nothing weird is going on, that his sister is just going through withdrawals with this whole thing. And it does make sense. A lot of people could complain, why doesn't he listen to them? Well, to a certain point, he doesn't see the things that are going on. And we'll get to it. So, when he goes back outside, David does, and he finds the dog dead, and he realizes that Mia must have done it, which we don't see it. And I've never believed she was the one that did it. They show a flashback of her doing it, but I think that's just what David is thinking happened. I don't think she did. I think it was like the demonic presence out there that did it. I don't think we ever see her do it. I don't think. She's in the shower. And then something very implausible happens. She turns the water all the way up, and it starts to boil her skin. I don't think there is any type of shower that you could turn the water up that high to where it would be boiling. That is a safety hazard. I don't think you can turn the water. There's sometimes you can get it pretty hot, but I don't think you could do it boiling hot. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. That's a safety hazard. That, I don't know. It doesn't seem plausible, but, whatever. So her skin is boiled and she's taken out of there. This is when the weird stuff starts to freak. And I love this shot, okay? This is where she's freaking out, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, what to do. Dumbass David wants to get her out of there. Like, we'll wait till tomorrow morning when the water subsided and we'll get her out of there. And they're still, because they still don't 100% understand what's going on. They're like, No, Olivia's the naysayer, like Iris on The Flash. No, you can't do that. We need to see this through. But then again, what person going through withdrawals would boil themselves, excuse me. And then you get the shotgun. She has the shotgun. She fires at David, hits him in the arm. This arm. And then the door flies open. You get the shot where it comes toward her and she's just screaming, ah, like that. It's the shot with demon, like this. Hold on. It's one of these shots that. Like that. One of those things. Only it closes up into her, And just got the screaming. I love that shot. It's great. But yeah. And then there's like I think this is when she falls in. Well, she pukes in Olivia's face and then is thrown into the basement. And they shut it and lock it. All right? And it's at this point that Olivia, is like, okay, there's something wrong with her. But David, of course, still doesn't believe that there's anything else going on. So she's like, Olivia's like, I gave her enough sedative. That's what happened. They sedated her. I gave her enough sedative to knock her out for hours. And like, give her another one. That could put her into a coma. We have to risk it. If she's in a coma, she can't hurt anybody. I don't know how healthy it is for someone to be in a coma, but probably not healthy. So she goes to get the needle in the bathroom and stuff, and then she takes a while, and we see her get possessed in the mirror. Poor Eric comes to check on her, and she freaks out on him, stabs the fuck out of him with the needle, including, like, I don't know if it's in the eye or if it's just she breaks his glasses. This is the first of let's beat the fuck out of Eric in this movie. He just gets the shit beat out of him. He has to defend himself with, I think it's the sink, where he bashes her brains in until David walks in. He's like, she attacked me. I had to do it. She attacked me. And again, David did not see this happen. So, in his mind, he still thinks that his sister could be going through withdrawals. But Eric knows now that something is different. He's realized after she burned herself with the skin, that's in the book. So now he realized that something else is going on here. And so they go out to the shed to bandage up David's boo-boos. And when they take his shirt off, man, he got a pack, man. Like, he be working out. Teacher be working out. That, I don't know if it's him or a stunt pack, but it looks like someone be working out. Like, pack is bleeding. And they patched up with duct tape. Why do they do that in horror movies? They patched up with duct tape. I get it. Putting it there. Like, you didn't look like you have any chest hair, but that would hurt me. Like, I have chest hair. I have a lot of chest hair. That's like waxing. Goddamn. Ouch. Just thinking about it. But, yeah. So, they send Natalie to go get, like, a first aid kit or something. And this is where I think they should have just stayed together. And that's the problem, is that they separate too much in this. Olivia is like dead. She's decapitated. She's dead. But she goes in and she grabs the thing and then she comes back out. And the door is open. And yes, sir, Natalie? And I'm like, you don't know her. Just keep walking. Like, at Natalie's side, I don't know her. I can keep walking. I shouldn't care. The whole thing. But, yeah, she falls for it. And they hint at this later. They go, careful. It looks, when they go down the steps, careful. Looks like leak is breaking any minute. So when she tries to run back up, which, like, she's down there and she sees, and she starts talking in a weird voice. I'm like, fucking run. Why are you just sitting there? Yes, she's scared. But first of all, I wouldn't go down there. I've seen too many horror movies. I'm not stupid. I wouldn't go down there. I'd be quoting the I'd be quoting a Jordan Peele movie. Be like, nope. Or like Brendan Fraser in Mummy. Mm-mm. Nope. I would be gone. Someone invited me out to a cabin in the woods. I'd be like, no, that's fine. Don't want to mess with zombies today. Thank you. But yeah. And so, she gets bit on the hand, and she calls her a C word, which I hate that word, but yeah. So what? Kiss me, you dirty C word. I think is what she says. And then when David comes in, she goes, "Why don't you come down here? Let me suck that cock, pretty boy." I'm just like, "It's your sister." No, I'm just like, okay, pretty boy, pretty boy, pretty boy. But yeah, and so they lock it down, chains, that thing. And Natalie goes into the... Do you know this is a weird movie? I know all the names of the characters. I guess I must really like this movie. I've seen it many times. But Natalie goes in the kitchen, and she's like going through her hand, and she's putting this black stuff. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Like pus, like I don't know. And it starts to get infected. So she takes the carving knife and is like, look at me, I'm Leatherface. I know Hans reference. And she goes to cut her arm, right? But she doesn't do it in what I call the elbow pit, the elbow armpit. No, she does it here on the muscle. Now yeah, if you're already wincing, if you cut muscle, that's gonna hurt 10 times more than if you just cut here. This is muscle, and she's got like kind of like this. She's sort of flexing. She cuts that. And the one thing that I never liked is that, they do this so it severs the infection, but it never works. Even with Ash, like I think he does it at the end of the first one, I think. He does that, or is it the beginning of the second one? Whatever. He does it, and he's still infected later. So, yeah, it doesn't work. But it doesn't work here. She cuts it off, and she's like, okay, man, I cut it off. And he's like, Jesus. And so he brings her into the room, and Eric is there. And so then we get Let's Hurt Eric Part 2. Because she gets possessed. Like, before this, Eric explains what happened. It was the book. I read from the book. And, of course, David doesn't believe him yet because he hasn't seen anything weird. Remember, it was just Eric and Olivia. Eric in the bathroom when Olivia did that. So, in all intents and purposes, he hasn't seen anything supernatural. Until Natalie grabs the nail gun and just starts firing it. It hits Eric a bunch of times and also hits David in the arm. Poor arm. I think it's the same arm, too. Dude gets shot, and then he gets nailed. And, yeah. So, nail gun. But we ain't done. Because they able to get the nail gun away from her. She also got it in her face. But she grabs a crowbar. This is when was the... Okay, I think there was a time before it when... I think it's when Natalie goes down to the thing. She has the X-Acto knife. She cuts her tongue. Oh, I can't watch that. I can't. That's the first time I went. And it goes on forever. I'm like, okay, it's done. No, come on. And I can still hear it. I'm like, come on, make it stop already. And here, she just starts beating this shit out of both of them, but mostly Eric, with this crowbar. And it's just, it's bending. It's just, good God. It's brutal. But they're able to put it down eventually. And then, so Eric tells him, the only way to do it is to, he said it before, you gotta kill her, and he doesn't want to do it as his sister. But he realizes he has to. And so, first, He puts Eric outside, and I think Eric dies here. I think at this point he dies. So I should mention when he's reading the book earlier, it describes that this demon, he as they call him, needs 5 souls in order to be reborn or resurrected or whatever. I gotta mention that because what happens doesn't really make any sense to me. But so Eric dies, succumbs to his wounds. Underneath, I think they end up underneath after the feed. I think where the fight with Natalie leads them underneath the house again. There's water and everything, and Eric dies there. That's what happens. So he gets back upstairs and he starts to put gasoline on everything. He goes, "I'm sorry, Mia." She starts singing this song, and she's only doing it to trick him, but he can't do it. So he decides to bury her, whatever, alive. And he designs this thing with 2 needles, sort of a defibrillator machine to bring her back to life. Remember that. He brings her back to life. So he buries her outside. It starts raining, by the way. He buries her outside, puts her in there. He's like, I can't breathe, but he buries her, waits until appropriate time that she's dead, I guess, and then digs her up, does that, brings her back to life. She's wearing a red dress at this point, I think. She was in like a white nightie thing, so I think maybe it very see-through. This is rated R though, but maybe we didn't want to show skin. That's fine. It brings her back to life, and then Eric comes back as a deadite and just attacks him, mortally wounding him, and then she's still outside when he blows up the entire house. Goes up in flames, kills them. This is when the demon guy shows up. And this is where, if you do your math, it shouldn't happen. So remember, it says that this guy needs 5 souls to resurrect. Well, count. Just count. Okay? You have... Wait a minute. There's 3 women. No. Okay. There's Olivia, Natalie, Eric, and now David. Where's 5? And before you say Mia, nope, you're wrong, doesn't count. She was possessed, but she's not possessed. And technically David wasn't possessed either, but you can count that. But she is no longer possessed or dead or nothing. She is alive. She's normal. She's fine. She doesn't count. And before you say, well, the dog, no, because if the dog counted, then when Eric died, it would have taken him. It would have resurrected. So they didn't follow their own rules, plain and simple. Because you can't count Mia because she's still alive and she's not possessed anymore. Technically, David didn't get possessed anymore. I don't know. It's very weird. This whole ending part feels tacked on to me. It always has. Like, I love this movie, this whole thing with him being resurrected and his blood pouring down while it looks cool and it's chasing her around and it's really cool. It never made sense to me. Especially this time watching it, I'm like, nah, this doesn't make any sense, man. No, for all intents and purposes, they stopped this guy from being resurrected. By bringing her back to life, they stopped the soul from being taken. Therefore, it shouldn't count. And if you count the dog, then it should have happened earlier. So it doesn't make any sense. They just needed a climax. Then why not just have David fighting it when Mia is possessed and then bring her back to life afterwards? Like, you could have David... I know you wanted... Mia's a great final girl, don't get me wrong. But you could have David fighting this thing while she's still in the... Like, if he stepped outside and then threw it in there and blew the place up, he would still be alive. He could fight this thing while she's, like, let's say, just to change it a little bit, he buries her, but before he could unbury her and bring her back, Eric attacks him, and he's forced to set the cabin on fire. This brings forth the Destructor, or whatever you call it, and he fights him, and afterwards brings his sister back to life. Or he defeats him by bringing his sister back to life. Because to me, it never made sense. Where's the 5 souls? Because if you do it that way, then the dog would count. So, I don't know. But, I don't know. But she's able to defeat it. She goes into the shed. She sees a machete, but then she sees the chainsaw. It's an Evil Dead movie, so she gets the chainsaw. She can't start it. She puts gas in, and she gets it everywhere but inside the hole. But I guess it still works. I guess. And she's able to get it, and she's like, I will feast on your soul. Feast on this motherfucker. And it's a fun climax, but again, not necessary. And so it's over. It stops raining blood. Mommy, it's raining. It's raining red. And then she walks off and the movie ends. Originally, post-credit scene, we hear the recording of Professor Nobi, followed by Bruce Campbell cameo through the shadow going, groovy. That's the cameo you got. Originally, I guess they wanted to have, I guess there was a scene in the trailer too, where she's walking, she gets picked up, and I guess it was supposed to be Ash, but, yeah. They had an idea how to continue the series after this, that it's not happening anymore, but they were going to do a sequel to this, and a sequel to Army of Darkness, and then one more film after that puts the 2 series together. And like I said, it's a little bit iffy with the continuity. Like, if this takes place after Ash vs. the Evil Dead, well, I guess there was 2 Necronomicons, if you think about it. Well, 4, if you take the 3 that's there, but the one in the past and the one in the present, I guess the one in the present is still there, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. If you put Ash vs. the Evil Dead in there, it wouldn't connect. So, if they did do what they were gonna do, they're proposing, they probably wouldn't be Ash vs. the Evil Dead. But that series ends in a weird way, which I can't wait to discuss, because I was kind of iffy on it when it happened. We'll see how I feel when I rewatch it, but it's a very Sam Raimi ending, if you know what Sam Raimi likes to do to his main characters, at least to Bruce Campbell. But yeah, and I think what I would have preferred, instead of trying to make it convoluted by having a sequel to this remake and a sequel to Army of Darkness and then bring them together, just do one sequel where it brings them together. You already know enough about Ash. You don't need the connection. How would you do it? Some would say, just have Ash pick her up. That's too easy. That's a little too easy. Instead, this might be a little too easy too, but have the next film start with a recap of stuff that happened. As a nod, you could recast the actors or have it just be her and her brother going there as sort of a nod to Evil Dead 2. Have fun with it. Have a little fun with it. But you could have a recap of this events. It might be easier just to go and edit a recap with this film. And then ends with her walking. She's picked up by someone. She says, I need emergency help. And he goes, I can take you as far as town. That's about it. So she drops her off in town, somewhere. Or maybe she just walks into town. The nearest town, which I'm assuming is where Ash is from. I don't know. The nearest town takes her there. They take her to the hospital, but she's freaking out, trying to tell them what happened. They don't believe her. They think she's nuts. And she runs off. One of the people there is wearing a S-Mart shirt, and this is an employee that walks into the S-Mart and says, hey, there's this weird... Hey, I was just at the hospital dropping off some supplies for the wing that they are trying to fix. Because there's always a hospital with fixing a wing. And there's this weird girl, this weird woman, young woman, girl, whatever, talking about some book and talking about some weird demon things at a cabin with a book. And then one of the employees goes, that sounds familiar. I think our manager knows it. sounds familiar. Like with book, and then you see the manager's door. Let's see, I had it and I lost it. Like walks in, and then the guy turns around. You just see like a silhouette panning down. It says, "Ash, where is this girl?" And that would be a way to connect it. Or where is she? I should say. You know. So that's how Ash is introduced, and we connect it then. Like, he goes to the hospital to find her. He believes her. Because you could say, oh, it was stopped. But much like with, you know, after the first Evil Dead, the evil wasn't gone. So as long as that book is still around, it's not completely gone. So you could say that while they stopped this guy from coming forward, there's still Deadites popping up. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. That's the way you could have done a sequel. That's the way I would have done it. But with this film, it's got to go to the moon. It's got to go to the moon. I love this movie. I really enjoyed watching it this time. It was a long review, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I really do. And yes, to answer the question I'm going to pose, as of right now, it is still the best of the Evil Dead movies. That's what I'm saying. You know, sometimes with my Revisited reviews, I post still the best. You know, I just realized that is it better. I think I did say it was better. The other one, the Friday the 13th Part 2 was better than the original one. I guess I should have said it. But yeah, for me, this is still the best of the Evil Dead movies. It is the most brutal. It to me is the scariest. There is some moments, like if I was to watch, I watched this with the curtains open. If I watched this in the dark, I've done it before. It's creepy. You know, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Evil Dead 2013? When it comes to, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.